As we all know, to err is human, but to err hilariously, that's only in Star Trek films. In this side of the Star Trek universe we don't often see, where our beloved casts fumble their lines, epic villains trip over their dramatic monologues, and the galaxy's saviors just can't pronounce phenomena. From Chris Pine's Captain, like charisma unraveling into uncontrollable laughter, to Benedict Cumberbatch's tongue twisting on the most villainous of words, these bloopers bring out the human behind the casts of Star Trek films. And trust me, you'll have to watch Star Trek Hilarious Bloopers F. Chris Pine and Benedict Cumberbatch if you are in for some laughs today. The peace offering scene, Chris Pine. In Star Trek Beyond, the peace offering scene is supposed to showcase Captain Kirk at his most diplomatic, standing tall, calm, and composed in front of a warrior race of aliens during a peace offering. Chris Pine steps up to deliver the big line. "My name is Captain James Tiberius Kirk of the United Federation of Planets. I'm appearing before you as a neutral representative of the Fibonian." Sounds simple enough, right? Well, think again. Because who would have thought a word like Fibonian could single-handedly take down the great Captain Kirk? What starts as a bold declaration of intergalactic peace quickly devolves into a hilarious struggle with mere syllables. Phono, phonon, phone in. Wait, what is it again? Pine's valiant attempts to nail the line get funnier with each take, as the once imposing Kirk transforms into a guy who looks like he's negotiating peace with a tongue twister. The scene might have been about building bridges between alien cultures, but in reality, it became a battle between Chris Pine and a single word. And let's just say, the word won. The Great Spock Struggle. Commander Spock, the master of logic, finds himself in an unexpected battle. The struggle to say a simple line. The mission is clear. The stakes are high, but Spock's brain, normally a well-oiled machine, suddenly hits a roadblock. Captain, Mr. Chekhov's technical acumen makes him more valuable here on board the Franklin with Mr. Chekhov. Wait, what? The great Spock can't even say Chekhov? This is the same guy who's been to warp speed and back, but this one sentence? Oh, it's his kryptonite. He's fumbling more than a Vulcan trying to learn the cha-cha. The one with the humpback nails. Looks like the cast of Star Trek IV. The Voyage Home had a whale of a time on set. So, with George and Gracie the humpbacks in the mix, let's take a deep dive into the bloopers. If you don't like it, well, it sucks to be you. First up, we have Nichelle Nichols trying to deliver her line on the Klingon bird of prey. She was supposed to say, "I am receiving whale song," but what she actually said? "I am receiving hailstorms." Cue the whole crew cracking up. Talk about a static moment. Then there's the classic Shatner-Nimoy dynamic. In one outtake, Kirk accidentally pleads not guilty instead of guilty, and Nimoy, ever the prankster, pokes fun at him. Classic Spock, but wait, the real fun happens when they're filming at that San Francisco bus stop. Shatner flubs another line and says, "We're looking for a pair of humpback nails." Nailed it, Bill. And just when you think it couldn't get any better, you get the exact change moment. Nimoy drops it with perfect deadpan, and the pair just riff off each other, completely breaking character. Now that's how you do improv on a Star Trek set. Doctor's orders, McCoy's hilarious diagnosis of Kirk. In the Star Trek gag reel, we get a hilarious detour from the usual action, with a corridor scene following Kirk's rescue from the Tanaxi. Here, Carl Urban, as Dr. McCoy, takes the opportunity to really put Kirk under the microscope. But instead of his usual medical expertise, McCoy delivers a series of wildly inappropriate diagnoses that go way beyond anything we expected. What starts as a routine checkup spirals into a stream of witty and slightly embarrassing revelations about Kirk. Urban improvises these over-the-top diagnoses with such deadpan delivery that you can't help but laugh. And honestly, after hearing them, you might feel like you know a little too much about Kirk's personal life. Let's just say, some things are better left unsaid. But hey, it's all in the name of comedy, right? Pine's Shatner impersonation gets called out. In a behind-the-scenes moment from Star Trek Beyond, John Cho, Sulu, calls out Chris Pine for sounding exactly like William Shatner during a scene on the USS Franklin Bridge. Pine's delivery of a line has Cho bursting into laughter, pointing out that Pine is channeling Shatner himself. "You're doing Shatner," Cho says with a grin, clearly impressed. Pine, ever the good sport, responds with a playful jab. "This one's gonna be full shot, watch out." It's a hilarious moment that highlights just how much fun the cast had on set, with Pine proving once again that he can be as much of a comedic force as he is the captain. A Vulcan lost for words. In Star Trek Beyond, Spock's line, "Captain, we cannot maintain," was meant to convey urgency and seriousness. But what could possibly derail the ever-composed Spock in a moment like this? Apparently, a tangled mess of words. As Spock attempts to push through, his line morphs into a comedic sequence of stumbles. "Sorry, Captain, we are not equipped for this. Man of engagement. Sorry, Captain, we are not engaged." At this point, it's clear this isn't going according to plan. Finally, after some deep breaths and a lot of patience, Spock delivers what should have been the clincher. "Captain, we are not engaged for this level of engagement." And honestly, Spock still couldn't quite get it right, leaving everyone in stitches. It seems even the most logical minds can have a little trouble with engagement. Kirk and Spock can't stop laughing. In Star Trek Into Darkness, there's a scene where Spock, calm as ever, gives Captain Kirk a dose of cold, hard statistics. The statistical likelihood that our plan will succeed is less than 4.3%. It's the kind of line that could make anyone second-guess their strategy, but Spock delivers it with that trademark Vulcan stoicism. But Kirk, ever the optimist, brushes off the odds, his confidence unshaken. He tells Spock, "It'll work." It's a moment that highlights the contrasting approaches of these two iconic characters. Kirk with his gut instincts, and Spock with his data-driven rationality. But then, Spock drops a line that cuts deeper. "In the event that I do not return, please tell her I love her." Now, that's a twist. Spock, the logical Vulcan, acknowledging love. It's a rare, raw moment that catches Kirk off guard. He can barely respond before Spock reassures him, "It'll work." But beneath that confidence, you can feel the weight of the situation. It's a small but powerful glimpse of Spock's vulnerability amidst the danger. And, as it turns out, both Spock's logic and Kirk's faith have a way of working together to make the impossible possible. Nero took things too serious. In Star Trek 2009, Nero's villainous monologue takes a hilarious and unexpected turn when, in the heat of his rage, he suddenly slips up and says, "J.J. Abrams will die." It's a scene meant to showcase Nero's wrath, as he proclaims, "I look forward to the destruction of your planet and every planet around it. I've been waiting for this day my whole life. You will die. Your people will die. J.J. Abrams will die. You will all." Now, you'd expect the villain to be focused on wiping out entire civilizations, but instead, he inadvertently drags the director of the very film he's in into the mess. Nero's intent is clear. He's ready to destroy everything, including the creators behind the very franchise. But instead, the way he casually names J.J. Abrams in the heat of his speech brings an entirely new layer to his already over-the-top villainous rant. Maybe Nero just couldn't resist mentioning the mastermind behind his own existence. Or maybe it was just an unintentional slip. Either way, the moment becomes less about the fate of planets and more about an unexpected meta moment that breaks the tension in a way only a blooper could. Tracy is in Star Trek TNG. In Star Trek, the Next Generation episode. Parallels, we see Worf finally return to his Enterprise, only for Riker to play the role of the confused party host who has no idea about the surprise celebration. But in one hilarious outtake, Jonathan Frakes, clearly enjoying the moment, takes it to the next level. In an attempt to show off his surprise, Riker turns around with all the flair of a Broadway star, except he totally overdoes it. The result? A a series of comical double takes that leave Frakes looking like he's auditioning for a slapstick comedy rather than delivering a serious scene. Instead of keeping it together, he begins to riff with Worf, shouting, "What's wrong with you?" Only for Worf to remain deadpan, sticking to the script as if nothing is amiss. But Frakes isn't done yet. Spurred on by his own blunder, he turns his mistake into a mini-sketch, chasing after a crew member, Tracy, who strolls by, calling out her name with exaggerated urgency, as though he's suddenly the star of a chaotic sitcom.